Hey, did you know that there are subtle yet powerful tactics that some women use to manipulate your emotions? And the worst part is, many times, you don't even realize you're being manipulated. Welcome to Charm Blueprint, where we explore the secrets of relationships, seduction, and self-development. Today, we're diving into a crucial topic for any man who wants to successfully navigate the complicated waters of relationships. The emotional manipulation tactics some women use. These tactics might seem harmless at first glance, but they have a profound impact and can really mess with your head and heart. Have you ever noticed that certain women seem to know exactly what to say to make you feel guilty or insecure? Well, you're not alone. Many men experience this, and today we're going to unveil the secrets behind these tactics. The goal of this video is to reveal the 4 most powerful manipulation tactics that some women use to control your emotions and actions. We'll learn how to recognize these manipulative behaviors and, more importantly, how to protect yourself from them. After all, a healthy relationship should be based on trust and mutual respect, not mind games and manipulation. So if you're tired of feeling confused and want to learn how to identify and deal with these tactics, stick around. I'll share valuable insights and practical strategies to help you maintain your emotional balance and build healthier, more genuine relationships. And at the end of the video, I'll share a powerful tip with you that I'd say will solve 90% of any problem you have in your relationships. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button to help us keep sharing valuable content like this. Ready? Let's go. Tactic 1. Withdrawal. Withdrawal is a strategy where a woman distances herself emotionally from you, either by stopping communication, avoiding eye contact, or simply isolating herself. This creates a sense of emptiness and confusion, leaving you wondering what you did wrong. This tactic is effective because, as men, we've often been conditioned to believe that if our partner is pulling away, it must be our fault. This triggers a response of panic and guilt. You start mentally replaying all your recent interactions, desperately searching for something you might have said or done to cause the withdrawal. This feeling of insecurity and doubt can be paralyzing. Let's look at some practical examples of how emotional withdrawal can manifest. Sudden silence. You were having a pleasant conversation, but suddenly she goes silent and starts giving one-word answers. Avoidance. She begins to avoid spending time with you, cancels plans last minute, or pretends to be too busy to meet up. Physical and emotional distance. She might physically move away from you, avoiding hugs, kisses, and even eye contact, creating a cold and uncomfortable atmosphere. In response to these situations, many men react by overcompensating. You might start buying gifts, giving constant compliments, or even begging for attention in an attempt to fix something that might not even be your fault. So, how can you handle this tactic in a healthy way? Recognize the signs. Be aware of the signs of emotional withdrawal. If you notice she's pulling away, pause and observe the behavior without panicking. Open communication. Instead of guessing what went wrong, calmly ask if something is bothering her. Show that you're willing to listen and work through any issues together. Stay calm. Avoid going into panic mode. Understand that withdrawal can be a manipulation tactic and keep your cool. Don't fall into the trap of immediately blaming yourself. Set boundaries. If emotional withdrawal becomes a pattern, it's important to establish clear boundaries. Make it clear that you value open and honest communication, and that this type of behavior is not acceptable. Dealing with emotional withdrawal requires patience and self-confidence. By recognizing this tactic and responding assertively and balanced, you not only protect your emotional health but also establish a stronger foundation for a healthy and respectful relationship. Tactic 2. Hot and cold. This tactic involves a deliberate alternation between intense displays of affection and attention and periods of distance and coldness. This emotional roller coaster is designed to keep you confused and anxious, always trying to please and win back the affection you feel you've lost. The psychological impact of this tactic on the partner is profound. The alternation between being treated like a prince and suddenly being ignored or treated coldly creates a state of constant uncertainty. This makes you always try to figure out what you did wrong or what you can do to get back to the hot side of the equation. The feeling of emotional instability can be exhausting and lead to a toxic emotional dependency. Here are some practical examples of how the hot and cold method can manifest. Sudden changes in behavior. One day, she's super affectionate, sending loving messages and making future plans. The next day, her responses are short and distant, or she simply disappears for hours or days. Conditional affection. She might shower you with love and attention only when you do something she wants or when you're in public. In private moments, this behavior can change drastically. Broken promises. She might make big promises or exciting plans only to cancel or act as if they were never made. The effects on your behavior and emotions can include anxiety, insecurity, and a constant need for approval. You might find yourself trying to please her in every way possible, spending energy and resources to maintain her attention and affection. So how can you handle the hot and cold method in a healthy way? Recognize the pattern. The first step is to recognize that you're being manipulated. Notice the behavior patterns and see if there's a deliberate alternation between affection and distance. Maintain your emotional stability. Don't let her behavior changes dictate your emotions. Keep your calm and confidence, knowing these swings are a manipulation tactic. Set clear boundaries. Define what you consider acceptable in a relationship. If constant alternation between hot and cold is hurting you, make this clear and set boundaries. Communicate openly. Try to have an honest conversation about how her behavior is affecting you. Calmly explain how the changes in behavior make you feel and see if there's a willingness for genuine change. Self-reflection. Reflect on why you're accepting this behavior. Strengthen your self-esteem and self-confidence. Dealing with the hot and cold method requires a combination of self-awareness, communication, and boundary setting. By adopting these strategies, you protect your emotional health and create an environment where emotional manipulation has less power over you. Tactic 3. Guilt. Guilt is a powerful tool used to control and influence a partner's behavior. When a woman uses guilt as a manipulation tactic, she plays on the emotional responsibility the man feels to ensure she's happy and satisfied. This can make the man feel constantly indebted or inadequate, believing he's never doing enough. Manipulation through guilt can distort the relationship dynamic, making it unbalanced. A woman might use guilt to gain advantages, forcing the partner to do things he wouldn't normally do just to avoid feeling guilty. This type of emotional manipulation can lead to a vicious cycle of self-punishment and relentless attempts to please, undermining the partner's self-esteem. Let's see some practical examples of how guilt can be used to manipulate. Guilt trips and arguments. During a disagreement, she might accuse you of being insensitive or not caring about her feelings, even if your concerns are legitimate. This makes you feel guilty for raising any issue. Guilt over unmet needs. She might constantly remind you how you're not meeting her needs, making you feel like you're never doing enough. Emotional manipulation. Crying or throwing tantrums to manipulate situations and make you feel guilty, even when you're right. Common reactions from men to this tactic include excessive apology, feeling compelled to apologize repeatedly, even when you've done nothing wrong. Attempts to compensate, making grand gestures or sacrifices to try to make up for induced guilt. Self-doubt, starting to doubt your own feelings and judgments, believing you're always wrong. So how can you handle guilt manipulation in a healthy way? Recognize the signs. Be aware of the signs of guilt manipulation. If you find yourself constantly feeling guilty for no valid reason, it might be a sign of manipulation. Maintain perspective. Remember, you're not responsible for all her emotions and needs. It's important to maintain a healthy and balanced perspective. Communicate clearly. When you notice guilt being used as manipulation, communicate clearly and assertively. Say how you feel and that it's not fair to manipulate based on guilt. Set healthy boundaries. Define clear boundaries about what's acceptable in terms of behavior and communication in the relationship. Make it clear that guilt manipulation is not acceptable. Self-reflection and self-esteem. Strengthen your self-esteem and confidence. Reflect on why you're accepting the manipulation and work on building a stronger, more positive self-image. Dealing with guilt manipulation requires a firm and conscious approach. By recognizing this tactic and setting clear boundaries, you can neutralize its impact and promote a healthier, more balanced relationship. Tactic 4. Love bombing. Love bombing involves an intense and sudden display of affection and attention with the goal of creating a quick and deep emotional connection. During this phase, a woman might make you feel incredibly special and unique, putting you on a pedestal with constant compliments, declarations of love, and public displays of affection. The aim of love bombing is to make you feel so connected and in love that you become emotionally dependent. This tactic can be especially effective because everyone likes to feel loved and valued. However, this intensity can be a form of manipulation to bring you to a vulnerable state where you're more likely to accept behaviors and demands you wouldn't normally tolerate. Here are some typical behaviors during love bombing. Excessive compliments. From the first date, she constantly compliments your looks, personality, and skills, making you feel on top of the world. Quick declarations of love. Very early in the relationship, she starts saying she loves you, that you're her soulmate, or that she's never felt this way before. Grand gestures and gifts. She might surprise you with expensive gifts, exaggerated romantic gestures, or planned special trips and events for the two of you. Intense communication. She sends constant messages and calls, wanting to be in touch all the time and making you feel like you're the center of her universe. The emotional impact of love bombing can be overwhelming. You might feel euphoric and deeply connected, believing you found the perfect person. However, this initial intensity can be misleading, as it creates an emotional vulnerability where you're willing to overlook red flags and accept manipulative behaviors. So, how can you handle love bombing in a healthy way? Maintain a critical perspective. Be aware that love bombing can be a manipulation tactic. Ask yourself if the intensity is proportional to the time you've known each other. Take time. Healthy relationships develop gradually. Give time for the relationship to grow naturally and to really get to know the other person. Set boundaries. Don't be afraid to set healthy boundaries. If you feel overwhelmed by the intensity, communicate this assertively. Observe consistency. Pay attention to consistent behavior over time. Genuine people maintain a consistent pattern of behavior, while manipulators might drastically alternate between extremes of affection and distance. Seek external support. Talk to friends or family about the relationship. They can offer an objective perspective and help identify signs of manipulation you might not notice. Dealing with love bombing requires patience and discernment. By adopting these strategies, you protect your emotional health and ensure your relationship is built on genuine and healthy foundations. Before we conclude, it's important to highlight the need to discern if she's indeed manipulating or expressing genuine feelings. Not all behavior changes or intense displays of affection are attempts at manipulation. Sometimes, she might be going through external issues like work stress or personal problems, affecting her behavior. Therefore, it's crucial to differentiate between manipulation and authentic emotions. Being the man in the relationship here means staying calm, communicating openly, and being empathetic while also protecting your own boundaries. You might have noticed that many of the tips we discussed are similar for dealing with different tactics. This is because an enlightened man who attentively takes care of his relationship, sets clear boundaries, and directs the relationship with open conversations is a man who will never be deceived. By acting this way, you'll always be one step ahead, capable of resolving conflicts in the best possible way, building a healthy and balanced relationship. Remember, a man who knows his own worth and sets clear boundaries will never be manipulated. Finally, I want to say that creating these videos takes time and requires editing tools. And if you want to support the channel and help keep this content rolling, consider Buy Me a Beer through the link in the pinned comment. So, if you think the content is helping and you want to see even more, a virtual beer is always welcome. Until the next video, folks, take care and continue the quest to be the best version of yourselves.